going on in Kansas City. I can't remember what the heck it might be. Oh, yeah, the NFL draft. Yeah, it's like we've been talking about this for 6 months. Welcome back to RGR Football. It is the final Q&A prior to the draft. Dan is here. Dan Harms. You follow him at InHarmsWay19. You can find him everywhere. He's going to be guesting all over the interwebs this particular draft. We'll be going back and forth. We'll have the streams live on RGR. Someone will be aboard. I guarantee you. We're going to have some guests. We're going to pull some hijinks, I'm sure, because I'm going to have some reactions that I don't know that I'm even prepared for. So tune in for that. Make sure you like, sub, and hit the bell, and then you'll get notifications when we get new content up, because we're going to have streams. We're going to have cutouts. We're going to have instant reaction, plenty of things that you're going to want to see. So we're going to get to your questions tonight. You're driving the boat, and, I do want to give you guys last-minute additions. Anybody who's new here, you can grab the draft guide right now at rogueapc.com. And that helps because there's so much in it that you can find reference, whether it's a complete film review, whether it's all of our metrics, like it's all over everything. If I can find the link, which I'm about to do, I swear. And that's really where it comes to, because this is what it's about. It's at rogueapc.com. You can use the code. That's not the right code. It's this code. It's RGR23. There is a locked on one too if you want to use that. But yeah, it's the last boil down. If you're somebody who studies last minute, this is your kind of thing. So get after it. Last night we did the board reveal. We'll talk about it some more tonight as well. Dan's got his in the cooker, I do believe.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
All done. It's all ready to go.
Sweet. Okay. We will release that here shortly. Tonight we can answer questions on the board, et cetera, why I made certain choices. And really it's all about, yes, it's about the league, but I do kind of drift towards what the Chiefs need a little bit as well. So we're going to get into it. Thank you all for joining us. We do appreciate it. First question from Gary. How are you, buddy? Absolutely done a great job in this year's draft. Cheers, sir. I appreciate that. For those of you who don't know, Gary's been here since the beginning, since it was just me screaming into the oblivion. Don't draft that, dude. So yeah, appreciate you, Gary.
Appreciate it, man.
Let's see. Alex said, I want Sam Laporta. Perfect learning spot behind Kelsey, and he has good hands. What do you say, Dan?
You know, Sam Laporta is a really nice slot receiver. But I don't think he's playing tight end for you. If you think he's playing tight end, you're probably, really SOL in terms of the options you have at tight end, because he's not going to block for you, especially not in the NFL. He's too slight, he's too small, and guys, he's going to get pushed around by defensive ends, linebackers alike. So, yeah, if he's playing slot receiver for the Chiefs, yeah, I'm all in, because he's going to be a really good receiver. But I'm also fearing that someone's going to ask him to drop like 20 pounds and play big slot in the NFL. That's how I feel it might end up going with him. Not that he can't put on like 10 pounds, learn to block. That just seems like it'd be much more work than asking to play slot receiver.
I'll tell you too, though, I do like him as an H. Like if you want to get really crafty with it, he could do that too. You have to move him. He's not ever going to be an inline tight end. I don't believe he's ever going to be able to do that. And that's just kind of how it goes. It is. And honestly, I think Noah's grown into that particular role. So you don't necessarily have to. If that's what they're looking for, I think it could work. I just don't know if I see the value that a lot of other teams are reportedly seeing. What did I have him in the third, I do believe. Yes. And so, if dynamic wide receivers are off the board, I could see the Chiefs being interested, because it does add a new wrinkle. We'll see if that's the way that they go. I don't know. Rumors abound today. If you're going to take a running back, you might as well take a H-back. I don't know. Thanks, Alex. Appreciate you. Folks, if you want to support the channel, hit the super chats. I guarantee you'll get a question or an answer to your question tonight. You can buy some of the MVP gear or the Chiefs Nation gear. If you join the memberships, you get into Discord. You can hang out with everybody back there. It's tied to your account. So join at the rookie level. You're in like Flynn. Super easy. And Robert was asking, what do the Chiefs need to accomplish in order for you to consider the draft a success? They have to shore up and have a viable starter or a guy that can rotate with the starter at edge, receiver, and offensive tackle for me. I do think they have to bolster the interior defensive line and the corner group with somebody. Do you agree, or do you think I'm wrong, Dan?
No, I think you're absolutely right. And I'm starting to think that they're going to need to take a stab on one of these interior offensive linemen on day 3, because, depth there is a little slight, and future depth and future starting is still out of not 100% guaranteed. And when you're in this is a dynasty. That's what this is. The Chiefs are in the middle of their dynasty, winning 2 Super Bowls in the last four years. Yeah, that's what it is. They have to continue to churn out young, startable players. They have to continue to funnel in backups. Yeah, Nick Allegretti, I love as a backup.
Mm-hmm.
If you're relying on him to be your starter for the future, that's where you put yourself into a problem, because he's a really good backup to have. I think he was great when he's come in and played as a backup, but he's not a starter for you. He's a great spot starter. He's not a starting guy for you. So you have to find ways to turn that out. So everything you said, I would also say that with the amount of picks they have, they got to find a way to get a nice developmental interior offensive lineman, maybe swing tackle in the process.
That's fair. And maybe a guy that can do both. I kind of dig the idea there. I mean, that's how Andrew Wiley started out as well.
Yeah.
If we take a quick look, try to blow this up for folks, oh, that's not what I wanted to do. I want to do this. There we go. Now we can read. So if you take a look at it, other than Skronsky, I really have everybody starting in the second round. So when you look early day 3, Bradford's a guy I know they like. There's Zavala, Andrew Voorhees. Now Zavala's got rumored to go higher. I don't know that I believe that. I don't know. It still seems like a chance on the guy that hasn't participated a lot in this draft process, but if somebody falls in love, it's pretty easy. Long shot is going to be, I think, Jordan McFadden, but that's going to be definitely long. The problem is that I only have
Jordan McFadden.
Do you?
I do. I like him actually quite a bit. So
that's cool.
Interesting.
Do you have him in the same range-ish?
I actually have him at the end of the 3rd.
Okay.
Because I give him offensive tackle versatility as well. I think he can also kick out and play spot starts. You're not probably going to be asking him to do that a ton, but what I saw from him at Clemson, I liked. I liked his transition ability. So I think he has some of that versatility. That's why I bumped him up into the 3rd.
That's cool. So we only have about maybe a round and a third difference on him. That's cool. If he plays out and gives you what you need, then hey, I'm all for it. I do think they're going to surprise us with a couple of guys. He could be one. Lego, I think the Chiefs will trade their picks this year to get more picks for next year. I don't know. If they accomplish their initial task, do you think that they could move back, not just in this draft, but to 2024?
It's possible, but if they're accomplishing their goals, we're talking about like 5th and 6th round picks next year. Like that's not. I don't necessarily think that's worth the value that they might be able to find in this draft. I think they're still going to try to get some guys here that they like. We know that they have like 150-ish players that they'll have like. They're like scheme fits. Like there's going to be a lot of those guys that they're going to have, and they'll be on day 3 as well. So I think they're going to try and take some more there before we start looking into next year.
Okay. Yeah, I can dig that. I can also see, I expect them to do a lot of moving. So I think they could pick up something in the process, but I do think they're focused on getting things built up now. And then I think they might be returning to not only a more athletic offensive line group, offense in general, but also like starting to get back to that philosophy of being a year ahead of what your holes are going to be. Absolutely. So we could see some other things there, Lego. Thank you for that question. Appreciate it. Christo, welcome back. As you know of, who is opposite of GK, I want a new weapon from Mahomes, but isn't pass rush our biggest need? I think that you have a very good point. I don't know, Dan, if you had to wait the 3, I think I would probably lean OT first and edge second and wide receiver third myself. Where are you?
I mean, if I had to, that's my comfort level with Mahomes raising weapons is a completely different comfort level. But I think last year kind of showed us that they were able to make it happen. Carlos Dunlap for a lot of the season at times was like your opposite starter. Frank Clark had some issues with his stomach, some suspension, if I remember correctly. His suspension came down like halfway through the season or was the beginning of the season. I don't remember exactly. There was too many suspensions going on to remember all of them. So yeah, I think that I have a little bit more confidence now in Colin and Spags to facilitate pass rush. And right now, the starter opposite GK would technically be Charles Menahue, or however you want to pronounce it. I think it's Menahue. Yeah. But I personally think his best role is a rotational player, like a rotational guy, rotational pass rusher. I don't think his best spot starting is as a run stopping defensive end. I don't think he's very good at that. I think he's a much better throw him out there anywhere on the defensive line for pass rush, but you still want to have somebody as your starting guy. And that's why I meant not just because of his off-field stuff, but that's why he didn't get that ton of money, because he's really more of a rotational piece than a starting defensive end in this league.
And I also feel like he has the ability, just like Karlaftis and Mike Dana, to go play inside. So he's a guy that can reduce down. And so if you have a guy that is more specific to outside pass rush, like, Nolan Smith falls to you, like he's a designated pass rusher in that kind of scenario. And the minute he comes in third down, goes inside and uses his length, which the Niners used him a lot for. And I think it was very productive. So that makes sense to me too, Christo. Let's see. Doug, can you tell why KC's first round is 31, not 32? Sure, Doug. The Miami Dolphins were penalized for trying to poach Tom Brady at one point. The league handed down a penalty to them and took their first round pick. That's why it's not like everything shifted. There's still, they list on the website, even they list the Chiefs with the 32nd pick and 21 or whatever it is evacuated, right?
Yeah.
So that's why there will only be 31 picks taken in the first round. Cody, does the Jets-Packers trade make any major differences in the draft now? Do you have a take on this? Because I'm having trouble trying to find impact for anybody other than the Jets and Packers.
I think it could, to an extent. It might allow the Packers to trade up a little bit higher than anticipated and maybe start one of their runs. I'm wondering if David Bakhtiari is going to be in Green Bay this season. And if he's not, then they could go up and start the tackle run that we don't want to happen. So it could, in theory, allow the Packers to trade up a little bit higher than they may have been able to get before, and then start a run on tackle or wide receiver, because they're going to need a slot receiver. They have their two outside guys. If they have Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson as their two guys on the outside, Jackson Smith and Jigba fits right in there, I think, and they could be slotting up now to pick him there. That might start a little bit of a run on receiver, but I don't know that necessarily there's going to be any receivers that go outside of him in this draft. We'll kind of see how that works out and all of that, but it could. I think in theory, the Packers now at least have a way to get a little bit higher than they did previously.
Agreed. I had that pick slotted for an offensive tackle anyway. If the Bakhtiari thing does happen, they're going to take a tackle. So net to everybody down below, I don't think it's going to make a huge shambles.
Yeah.
AFC East teams might have a problem with it. I don't know. But, we'll see how they come at it. But it definitely isn't going to be something that I think is going to send the Chiefs scurrying or anything like that. I think they got that part under control.
Yeah.
Thanks, Cody. James, it seemed last year we knew who were picking in the first round in the draft, but this year it seems like it can go anywhere. Yeah, for the Chiefs, it's for a Super Bowl championship roster coming off of, to have this many needs that you can go any direction.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little rare. Let's be real. So,
I mean,
I'll take it.
I don't necessarily. I don't know if we knew they were going to trade up and get Trent McDuffie like that. I don't know if we knew that they were going to get that corner in the first round necessarily. I think we kind of assumed that they were going to be going to defensive end, but I still think this year it's pretty cut and dry in the first round. Maybe, I mean, I understand that 3 positions is not necessarily cut and dry, but I think that we can almost rule out receiver. Value wise, they might not have any for the first round picks on their board. And again, I don't know how they value back into the first round. I think we kind of got an understanding that at one point it was, we can kind of treat this however we want to. Now they don't really have that luxury, even though we're seeing some smoke that we will get to very, very sure. So all of you that have the questions about the smoke, we will promise you we'll get to you, and we'll get to it very, very soon. But I believe it's between 2 positions. I think it's tackle or defensive end. If it's anything else, I won't be shocked, but I'll be a little bit, okay.
I feel like it's a little more reactionary this year because I do think that the top is thin. I agree. I only have 19 on my first round selections. I worry that if they can't get a trade done, although we hear that Brett Veach is already calling around, usually when that stuff leaks, when they say he's one of the few aggressive teams, Brett Veach is generally very aggressive. So that's not really out of character. That's what we expect. But
you got 19 first round picks. I have 15.
Seriously. Oh, I was nicer than you.
You were nicer
Dang.
than me.
Oh, I can't wait to go over that. Who stands out? Who do you think that I overinflated? And I will show
Let me
this
see.
back to everybody.
I need to see where your board is first off.
I'm
Let me pull
pulling
it
it
up.
up.
All right, there we go. There we go. Okay, so first of all, Hendon Hooker as a first round pick. I'm sorry. I can't get behind that.
Why? What's the main reason?
Because he's not, well, first of all, he's injured. There's
Right.
one.
Fair
Two,
enough.
played at Tennessee. If we think Jalen Hyatt and all those have the same factors against him, so does Hendon Hooker. 25 years old. Like, he's going to be a bit older of a prospect playing in that system. He didn't really have a breakout season until last year, so I can't do that with Hendon Hooker myself.
Okay, that's cool. I'm down with that. My thing is, when I watch the VTech film, he can run a pro offense, in my opinion.
Virginia Tech, yeah,
it's been a while. But he can do it, in my opinion. And for me, it's the floor. I don't think he's going to be elite. I think Anthony Richardson has a chance to be elite. I think Stroud and Bryce Young have a chance to be elite. I don't necessarily believe that about Levis, but that's not really about him. The thing for me is that I think he can walk in and with leadership skills, understanding an offense, and understanding what I think he's being discounted pretty severely right now. I do think that he can walk in and have a higher floor than most people are giving him right now.
I do, and I think that's why I have him in the second round. I think that's just what it is. And then you have Skoronski in the first. I have him just in the second, but I have him at tackle.
Okay.
So I have him at tackle. We'll see if he stays there, because I'm still pretty confident in the player he's going to be. And again, if he does end up being an interior offensive lineman, I think that would boost him up into the first. But I also have 3 edges: Nolan Smith, Miles Murphy, and Will Anderson. I don't have Tyree Wilson in the first round, even though I think he's going to go in the top 10. I don't think his tape was all that special. I only have 2 corners. And then I have 0 safeties. So
okay. So I traded you Deonte Banks and Brian Branch, and you didn't have those guys. Okay, fair enough.
And they're both like right there. Like they're both right on the verge for me. Like I love Brian Branch, but I don't think he's a first round player.
Fair enough. Yeah, we're definitely just on a little bit higher or lower on that line.
It's not even like hugely different. We're just like a little bit boost here, a little bit of boost there.
And I hope you guys appreciate that. That's why we don't do this together, so that we can give you more than one opinion and point of view on everything. And so that's why. And that comes from our different experiences, right? I never coached DBs. I know what I'm looking for, and I'm obviously a little bit more old school. Much like somebody you might have seen, and Stevie had something nice to say about getting Matt Bowen on. If you guys missed that, the first part came out last week, and the second part is going to come out this week. So be prepared. It's a great job, Dan. A great conversation with an incredible player.
Dude, it was so fun. He's in the stories that he was telling during the conversation. It were great, and I'm glad you enjoyed it, Stevie, because I mean it was just awesome to sit there and talk to him and just have him like just shooting stuff off from when he was in his coaching career. He's awesome, and he's going to come back on again. I promise you that much.
I look forward to it. And I'm just going to say you're going to have to include me at some point.
Yeah, we'll definitely put that on.
I think I'm having some internet issues. I'm going to put this up and kind of switch nets here for a second.
All righty. What up, Wade? Thank you for the question. Great show, guys. Well, thank you. Appreciate it. I wouldn't be that upset if we do have a couple of aggressive moves up and grab a defensive lineman or an offensive lineman only in the first 4 rounds, maybe 5. What say you? So, yeah, I think that we can aggressively assume that the Chiefs are going to be trading up at some point to grab a defensive lineman or an offensive lineman. I think that both of those make some sense, especially with the way that the Chiefs, I would imagine, are going to value their offensive tackles and defensive linemen. So I think we can reasonably assume that depending on how they view this class, they might have to move up twice to get somebody that may be falling, or to get somebody that they value a little bit higher than everybody else. I would think look for them to move up from one of their 4th round pick spots. Yes, first round, yes, they'll probably do that. And then look for them to move up in the 4th round to get somebody that they're trying to get that came around on day 3. That's what I'm looking at right now.
I think that makes a ton of sense. All 4 selections. I don't know if I can go all four in the trenches. Andy's Andy and Patrick's Patrick. I think they're going to want some toys.
Thank you.
But
Good job,
Avery
sweetie.
would like some too, and that does happen. So thank you,
Wow.
Wade. Appreciate you. Sugary, thank you. Evening, just 3 more sleeps. That's perfect timing for Miss Avery to come in. and Mama's home too. So until we draft, checks notes, Jameer Gibbs. Sugary, I love the way you delivered this question because I've had a headache about it since this morning. Dan, take your spin on this and tell me what you truly think about the news.
All right, y'all. So before I get into this, I'm gonna go through the starred questions we have here and see if I have any more Jameer Gibbs questions, because that's what this is all about here. And we are going to talk about this for a good minute, I think. Just want to make sure we're not crossing up everyone's questions here. And I do apologize. We got lots of questions on the Jameer Gibbs, but so if you have it, we're going to answer it right now. I love Jameer Gibbs. Okay. I said this on Matt Waldman's show when he had me on. I think he's the closest player to Jamal Charles since he got hurt. He is the closest player in terms of what he can do as a pass catcher, his movement skills. For being as slight as he is, he can run between the tackles. I think he has better contact balance than he gets credit for his size. If the Chiefs trade up to draft Jameer Gibbs, as good as he is, let's say he becomes Jamal Charles. How much does that impact the offense? Okay. Would you still want them to draft a running back if you guarantee he turns into Jamal Charles? I want you to think about that, Ryan. Would you right now, if you could guarantee he turns into Jamal Charles, would you trade up to take him?
Trade up now? We're not just talking 30. We're talking trade
exactly.
up now.
I've heard lots of rumors about the Cincinnati Bengals taking him.
Let me put it this way. Jamal Charles is worth a first-round pick.
Yes.
All day long. In retrospect, if I had that guarantee, I could take him at 31. But you're talking about costing me a backup tackle, another wide receiver that could turn into a weapon, trading up for a running back in the first. I'd set the house on fire. I'll tell you that.
So I wasn't trying to give myself my opinion, because I would also take him at 31 if I could guarantee he turns into Jamal Charles. But I can't guarantee that. I can't guarantee it. I'd like to guarantee it very much, because in this offense, Jamal Charles would be unstoppable. They would be unstoppable. There's nothing you could do. And again, if the Chiefs think about offense differently, if it's about adding playmakers just anywhere, running back, tight end, wide receiver, doesn't matter. Okay, I can understand it, taking him at 31 without trading up. What we heard today was that trading up to draft him, and I don't. Again, like you said, they have too many needs elsewhere to go to do that. And at 31, if they don't move, you guys will probably hear me cheer on the stream, because I would love it, even though I'd like to get them to go somewhere else. Like I would like.
You will see the same reaction from me as you saw when CEH come on board. Why did you do that?
And I'll be okay with it to an extent. But again, I would prefer defensive end, offensive tackle, and I can understand if, again, player is completely different. But yes, I think we can reasonably rule out a running back in the first round. I believe that. I will say that until they do it. I said the same thing when they drafted Clyde Edwards-Helaire. There's no way they're going to draft a running back in the first round, and then they did. I still believe there's no way that they draft a running back in the first round, and until it happens, I'm going to keep saying it. So that's all I'll say on it.
That's why I don't say they won't, because I've been wrong too many times.
I don't care.
Okay, well, that's good. No, but I will say this: I will be disappointed, because he is number 42 overall on my board, and I think that's a healthy assessment. Bijan Robinson is number 32, so he is a little bit better. But I won't put any running back in the first round. So that's my thing. And there are GMs that agree with me.
Yeah,
Revich isn't one of them, so I can never say they won't. But I love his game. I think he would be a great fit, and I can see, should they move up in the first to get something legitimate done. I can see them trailing along and moving up in the second to do that. I think Bijan will go in the first. I think Jameer's like very much on the edge. If the Bengals take him, great. Well done. Because Darnell Wright, DeJuan Jones, they won't be there when you come back around, Bengals fans. I hate to tell you. And if you're going to run Orlando Brown, you might as well run DeJuan Jones because that sets the tempo of your offense and that sets your identity. So I'd love to see them stumble on that one. But Kevin had an interesting take on that as well. Do you guys think that the Chiefs can dump CEH for draft capital on draft day? Would be a big blessing. I don't necessarily know that he moves the needle at all, but I could see them saying, listen, it's run its course here. Here's our picks package. We'll give you Clyde as well.
Yeah, I think that's all you can really do with Clyde at this point. You could put him in a package. Or, again, you just ride it out. One last season. That's pretty much what you got. And hope to gain some trade value out of it. Like, that's...
Well, and I got to say, if there's one team that I'd like to trade CEH to, it's the team with Joe Burrow on it. Let's give him back. Here, Joe, come take your boy. I that would just make me happy.
I don't know if they'd ever think about trading with the Chiefs, but if they did, I'm with you. Just to say, yeah, here you go.
2 birds, 1 stone, that kind of thing. You know, it is what it is. Let's see. We got that one. KL. If we draft an LT and move Taylor back to right tackle, does his contract affect the right side's market? Like overall in the league, yeah, somebody will say that. I don't think in reality the agents are going to be able to make a whole lot of hay on that. Yeah. But it is what it is. And I don't think it's necessarily a terrible thing. If they can get an upgrade at left that they feel is better than Juwan, move him, take the rookie contract and roll. And don't worry about what you did to the market. Nobody bothered to ask them about Christian Kirk, did they?
And honestly, this is how it should happen. If the Chiefs are the first to actually go through it, good. It needs to happen. Right tackles in today's NFL are almost as important as left tackles. Just because of how versatile and athletic defensive ends are now, it doesn't really matter. You have to protect the quarterback on both sides. You're going to get crunched on one side. You're going to get crunched on the other side. Guess what? You might see it a split second faster. That's not going to change a whole lot. So,
well, Zach's kind of with us, I think. I really do get the issue with drafting a running back in the first. We learned from CH. But if Bijan fell to 31, how could you not take it? Defenses would not know what to do. That's absolutely true. He is a top 10 talent, even by my approximation. His grade is there. It's just positional value that hurts him. Did you have him higher than that? I think I had him.
He's in my
10.
Top 10. He's in my top 10. Yeah.
Okay. Teddy, thank you. Am I the only one pushing for Downs at 31? Yes, sir, you are.
I think you are. And I was on this train a little bit earlier. I will, but again, I think when we look at the wide receiver market in this draft as a whole, you have to push him down. I have him as a second round player because he is my wide receiver 4 in this class, but I have one wide receiver with a first round grade. That's it. Everyone else is crunched into the second and third. There's a ton of second and third round grades that I have.
I agree with you there as well.
It's just how it is. Like I have like 2 open spaces in my second and third rounds. Like there's just a ton of players in there. So yeah, he gets crunched in there, but it's a second round valuation for him. And a lot of people will think he's a slot only, and that might be his role in the NFL, being a slot only player that maybe plays the Z a little bit. But he's not going to play on the outside, even though I think he's got the hand work for it. He's just small and slight. So even if you do have the hand work for it, you can get pushed off your route pretty easily by some of these long ass corners. Yeah. So that's why you're going to see him in the slot more. And typically your slot receivers outside of Jackson Smith and Jigba aren't going to get drafted in the first round, but he's 200 pounds. So he gets a little bit of leeway on that.
Right. I completely agree. Downs is a slot only for me. And that's not to say that it's bad. He's got great hands, and honestly, he leaps really well. He elevates over DBs. It's just that he has to rely on short area quickness and change of direction to get separation. It's not runaway speed. Everything that I see from him that really looks nice and clean and easy is change of direction. And so that allows him to get away from those longer, taller corners.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why I have him in the third, only, again, because of value. I do like the player. I have Zay fourth. I have both he and Quentin in second round. I'm interested to see where you have Hyatt, because I have him ahead of Rashee Rice and Tillman and Perry.
Okay.
Only because if you're going to do one thing, do it very well. There are teams that are looking for just straight burners. There are teams that will take a DK Metcalf. It is in the second round, so that's where I put him.
Yeah, I'm not going to let you guys know where he is right now. You'll find that out when it drops. But just to say, you might be a little surprised at where I have Jalen Hyatt.
Ooh, okay. I like that. Thank you, Teddy. Hit us in the comments, though. Come back to this, and I'd love to see your opinion. Like, why Downs in the first? Why do you feel so strongly? Because I'd like to see that. Thanks, Teddy. Appreciate you. Jared, where would you draft Sean Tucker? Yeah, everyone checks board. Check
that board. All right. Well, I have a bottom of the fourth round grade on Sean Tucker. And my biggest reasoning is that I know that he had his pro day today. But there's a heart condition concern with him. Yep. There's concern that he'll never play a snap in the NFL. I had film concerns on Sean Tucker. I didn't think his vision was all that great. He freelanced a ton on schemed runs where he needs to follow a hole that's there, and instead he cuts it back. Yeah, he's getting a ton of space against these defenses he's playing against, but who is he playing against? In the NFL, you turn a schemed run back that's got a hole there, guess what? You're getting a 3-yard loss.
Yeah.
Probably more. So I have concerns about that. He also doesn't break tackles. He goes down on first contact far too much for a guy his size. So on top of his film concerns, he has legitimate health concerns. So that's a big red flag.
I agree. He's off my board. I won't draft him. I don't mind UDFA to see what he brings, but there is enough, not only film, the medical is serious, and I know he's been cleared, but I'm not going there. I'm not taking that risk. That's just me. I'm trying to look at what his broken tackle rate is, and I will tell you very shortly, just because if folks like a player, I want to give them the information they need.
For sure.
And if you look at yards per game, he does put up the yardage, but he is 19th. 19th in yards after contact, and he is 21st in forced missed tackles. And that is an issue. If you're going to have that style, you got to be able to get it done, and I just don't know that he can at the next level. So bring him in, give him a chance as a UDFA, and I'm all for it.
I feel it.
Okay. And folks, we will not always agree, so don't read that as surrender, that's for sure. What's a player that you were adamant about not drafting that turned out to be really good? Adamant about not drafting. Trying to think. Who did I scrub? I scrubbed somebody in 2019. And I can't recall who it is, but they came back, made a roster, and actually I think put up some numbers. Yeah. And for those of you that are going, oh, Ryan, we got you because you didn't like Karlaftis last year and you didn't like Nick Bolton before that. I had second round grades on him, or a third on Bolton. I was a round off of what the Chiefs thought both times.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I didn't like the player. But the last guy who just flamed out, that's a tough one.
I'm just trying to figure out like some of the guys that I didn't want, the Chiefs to draft that ended up being really, really good. And the two guys that come to mind for us, like I said, we talked about Karlaftis and Nick Bolton. I think Nick Bolton's exactly who we thought he was, but he's a little bit better of who we thought he could be. He's gotten better at all of the things that I didn't know that he would. And then the things that I knew he was going to do well, he's also gotten better at that. So he's bumped up for that. Yeah. But with jury still out on George Karlaftis, because that's pretty much what I expected him to do in his first year.
Yeah, I think I had him at 5. What did he get? 8.5?
I think he got 6.5.
6.5? Okay.
Yeah.
I think I said 5.
I'm pretty sure I said 4, but
it's pretty solid.
Yeah.
The last guy that actually totally flamed out on me, KL, is I had a draftable grade on Rosen, I think, in the second round.
Oh man, Josh Rosen gets us all.
Yeah. That's a tough one. Was one player that you're pounding the table to trade up for in either the first or the second?
Ooh, pounding the table, huh?
I gotta go get him.
I think right now I'm pounding the table for Cedric Tillman in the second.
I like that.
I've gone back to his 2021 Georgia and Alabama game multiple times now. I'm just like, this dude can be a problem. He can be a problem. He really can be. So I'm just like, get him in Kansas City and figure the rest out.
Absolutely. I am 100% with you, and I agree. Where did I end up putting him? I have him as the last guy in the second round. So that means
so do I.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I have him and the Mingo right there. He and Mingo are the
okay.
last two guys in the second for me.
I have Mingo about 15 selections down. That's not a gross thing. And I have Perry just below him. Perry I've been on him for a while and nothing's shaking me at this point. So it's just personal preference.
Yeah.
Manuel, would you trade Joe Tooney for 7 first-round picks? Sure.
I was about to say, I think there's an argument to be made that he might be one of the most important non-tackles in the NFL on offensive line. His singular importance to the young players on this offensive line and his ability to give you spot starts at tackle if he needs to, they're invaluable. There's a reason he gave up. The Chiefs, paid him so much. He has been every bit worth his contract and some, I think. So as much as I understand you might want to get out from underneath that at some point, no thanks. I'm okay.
I'll take that. Like, the tide is rising, and I know he's expensive, but it's getting closer every day, every year, and I'm okay with it so far. Red, thank you. If you guys would hit the like, we would appreciate it. If you would go over to Rogue APC, you can get the Matrix too. I have the last update for the Matrix coming here tomorrow.
Let's go.
Yeah. If you just want the athleticism, that's what the Athletic Matrix is. It breaks it down pretty far. And there have been a couple of guys. Miles Murphy was late. This update's going to have him. Did you say who timed today?
Sean Tucker had his pro day.
Okay. I don't have those results.
He jumped. I think he did the vertical and something else. I can't remember exactly.
Okay.
And the bench.
I'll take a look.
The bench.
Okay. I'll take a look. If it's enough to get him an actual Matrix score, I will get him inserted here tonight as well. What do you guys think of Darius Rush, the CB, the other CB from South Carolina? I like him. I thought, honestly, I do like Cam. Cam Smith, I think, is a second-round pick. I think Darius is a third. I don't think they're that much different. I think the Senior Bowl kind of solidified his grade for me. Did you get a chance to really look into him a lot?
I did. I'm looking up my notes right now, you guys. This is my note sheet right here. This is what I do.
Nice.
I have a notebook of all my notes here. So let me just flip through this because I did get a chance. I went through the corners at the end 2 weeks ago. So yeah, I like him. He's a long physical guy, which always speaks to me. Always speaks to me. I think he's a better man coverage player than he is zone. You're going to see a lot of that in with these corners. That you see a lot of cover 3 and man corners in this draft. You're going to see a ton of those guys, and I think that Darius is a good man coverage corner. I think he did struggle finding the football quite a bit when I was watching him, and he does not get off of blocks well. He can get lazy in the press, but I think he's a third-round player. I'm thinking of pull up my board here. If I have him in the third round, I probably do because
you do. Let's see.
Yeah, I have him at the top of the third. I think that he's a very good player. And we also got to see him at the Senior Bowl. So, and he was excellent in the Senior Bowl, especially locking guys down. So yeah, I'm a fan.
I have him literally the top guy in the third.
Look at that.
Yeah. I have Cam 2 places above him. Just because
I've got him 3. I got him 3 spots above it.
Okay, cool. So we're synchronized on that. So Kev, I do think he is one of the guys. Like, if it comes down to they can't get out and they have to make a selection, I think Deonte Banks would be an option in the first. I think Cam Smith would be an option in the second. I think Darius Rush would be an option in the third. I have him higher than seems most do, so maybe he has to go in second. Yeah. But I do believe there's especially. Man, my biggest sleeper of the season, we'll talk about him later, is a corner. There's a lot of corners. And so I think if they get stuck, the Chiefs can go to the corner well and find somebody that can help this team, even though they have a thoroughbred list at their corner room. So
yeah,
I'm pretty comfortable with it. Thundarius, how are you? If my health allows, I will be there Thursday and Friday. So excited to see the event live. I hope you have a blast, Thundarius. I am going to go by Wednesday before the activities. I'm not going to be in Radio Row because it's in the Westin. It's not on site.
Yeah.
So I've decided I'm gonna record from RGR Studios East, otherwise known as Jason Tracy Photography. So you can find that, and we'll be streaming from there. Maybe we'll even get Dan to come over. We don't know.
I
But
think Friday will be a day that we can get that to happen.
rock and roll. Okay, in the same room. That should be interesting. We'll have a 2-camera shot at least. Knowing him, we'll have 7 cameras. So it's way more than you need
Fine
to see.
by me.
Right? Then Darius, I hope you have a blast. And honestly, if you see something cool, like your perspective, I'd love to get some clips, send them over to me. We'd love to show them to the rest of the crew over here on the channel later in the week. And thank you for the support, buddy. Scott Province, if Veach picks blank, Dan will help Ryan start shopping for pitchforks.
All right. Again, this is I try not to do the whole melt thing down. I'm trying to be better. Last year was my pinnacle. I shouldn't have acted the way that I did, and that was unprofessional. So we're not going to get too crazy with that. But I will say that if the Chiefs draft Jalen Hyatt in the first round, I don't know if I'll do live streams anymore. That'll be my thing. I don't know if I can do it.
I love it. Thundarius, thank you again. If you guys would hit that thumbs up, we would appreciate it. I do have something cool to announce later tonight. We're recording a special for you guys. We do it every year. It's
The summit.
The Chiefs Draft Summit with us and KCSN. I think you guys will have a blast on that. We'll put it up here probably Wednesday. They're going to be live Wednesday, so I'll try to time it so it's not at the same time. But it's always fun when we bring our worlds together. We have some interesting takes that end up being really, really close in a lot of ways. So
yeah,
it's always a good time. Jameel, thoughts on the fullback from NDSU? That's how did we say his name?
Lupke.
Okay,
I think it's
like
Lupke.
him. UDFA for me, only because Derek Parrish exists and he can do everything.
See, and that's fine. That's fine. But Derek Parrish might end up being a defensive lineman.
He might
that. And I have a 7th. I would take Lupke in the 7th round. I would do it. I would do it in a heartbeat, honestly.
19 touches for the fullback last year. He can do both. He's
You're
an
right.
Iron Man.
seventh round. I got no issues with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have them both in the 7th round.
So, okay, I just didn't put the NDSU kid on the board because I just couldn't put 2. I felt pretty selfish.
I'm all about drafting elite athletes at the fullback position. Either way, I don't care. 7th round, bring them both in.
I mean, honestly, it's a sub sandwich from being an H-back tight end, so who cares?
Yeah.
Corbin, what's the unexpected move each undoubtedly will make this year? Prognostications.
I don't know. Unexpected. Drafting a corner in the first 2 days. I think that might end up happening because of the draft class. And I don't know if they think that if they believe that Omenwu is going to be like a starting level player. If they believe that can push defensive end down to the 4th round. It can do that. And that could push a corner because this is a loaded corner class of cover 3 and man coverage guys. And they have some really fun players in this draft that I think that could entice them enough to draft one on day 2. So I don't guarantee he undoubtedly makes it, but if he does, don't be surprised.
Yeah, I definitely will not either. And I like the idea. There are some DN aspects in the 4th. KJ Henry's there. Yaya Diaby is likely to be there. You guys know how I feel about Yaya. So there's potential. Jason Streeter, welcome back. Been a while. Last year, George was the Spags guy. Who's this year's Spags guy?
If I think we all know the answer to that question.
There's a couple. That's the big thing. There's Spags guys all over this.
I know who you want, Jason.
Yeah, right. Like I know what you're thinking, right? Who's the top Spags guy?
I think it's Keon White.
Okay. Didn't expect you to say that.
Really interesting. I think that he's the guy that everyone thinks is a super athlete that I don't think is, and I think will be a fine power defensive end in the NFL. Maybe in 3 years when he's 28 years old. I don't know. I don't. And then again, that's just he's being invited to the draft, which is concerning. I don't think he's a 1st round player. I don't. But I do think that he's going to have some people up in arms, like the Tyree Wilson thing. He's also a senior, I believe, an older prospect in terms of this draft class. But this draft class has a lot of older prospects and
Yep.
untapped potential coming out of Georgia Tech and Long. He's powerful. He was playing 3-tech essentially for them last year. A little bit of 4-eye as well, playing a lot of run down snaps. He's very, very strong. So that's the guy I think is the Spags guy.
I like where your head's at. Tyree was the guy that I was going to highlight.
He's going like top 10, I think. So I don't even think about it.
I think the interesting thing is I think there's a chance that he doesn't, mostly because he's got an injury that everyone seems to forget about. He hasn't participated in the draft process at all.
And they don't care, I don't think.
No,
we'll find out, but I don't think they do.
Yeah, you may absolutely be correct. I mean, this guy is long and tall. Look at this. To wrap his arms around a dude, he doesn't even have to like connect with him. He can do the halo. Yeah, it's crazy. Long, tall. He does come downhill well. If he turns the corner, he can accelerate. It's just his first step is not super explosive for me. It can be at times, but it's definitely not consistent. So I worry about that. But Keon, I do agree. Murphy is a power-based Spags type guy. And honestly, I think the guy that they probably like the most is Lucas Van Ness, because he can start for you at tackle next to Chris, and they think he can go outside eventually. I don't see that, but maybe they do.
I hope not.
Well, the Chiefs trade up to get their guy at left tackle or keep Taylor as the left tackle. It all depends how it folds. If you get to 13, your guy's still there, you start pepping up. You get to 16, you start making calls. And so that's the ultimate thing about Taylor is he lets you play both ways. You just got to get a tackle.
Yeah, that's it. We talked about it since the signing. Like he keeps their options open.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate you, Ben. CJ, could you see a scenario where we trade our first for a vet receiver not named D-Hop? Maybe like a Terry McLaurin of the Commanders. I don't. It's going to be D-Hop or bust for a first-round trade in terms of a vet, in my opinion. Terry McLaurin overlaps a lot of what Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore are going to do. So I don't think that's the greatest fit, in my opinion.
I also don't think that good old Eric Bieniemy is going to say, "Here, have our best receiver." That I want to be able to show everyone I deserve a head coaching job. So that's probably not going to happen, in my opinion. But yeah, I don't think that they're going to be trading the first for a vet. I think that DeAndre Hopkins will get traded on draft day, but I don't think it's going to be for the compensation that the Cardinals are expecting.
Agreed. Dez asked, and thank you for the support, Dez. If healthy, can Sky be a wide receiver 1 or Toney? I think Toney can. I'm not sure about Sky yet. I got to see more. His progress was slowed last year, admittedly. So let's give him another season to see what we think.
Yeah, I think Toney has the ability to, because he has all the traits you're kind of looking for. It's the route running stuff that he still doesn't have quite yet. And Sky, I'll be honest, he never had that ability. He never had that upside. He was a possibly get to a wide receiver 2, but wide receiver 3 is what you're looking at, in my opinion. And that's why I was a little bit lower on him in the process last year than everybody else.
I can get down with that. We'll see how he develops. Des also said, and thank you again, Des, which wide receiver in the round 2-3 can fill Juju's role in particular? In terms of physical contact, like take the possession hits. How do you feel about Reed in that role?
That's exactly who I was about to bring up.
Yeah?
Jaden Reed. Jaden Reed is the guy because he can do all that. He has great hands. I think he's a better route runner than Juju Smith-Schuster ever was. And he has a little bit of wiggle to his game. He has that. He's not like an elite yak guy, but I think he has enough, like Juju did last year, to get it done. You're going to be into space anyway. And he's still got that ability to break some tackles too. So I think Jaden Reed in 3rd round can easily fill that role and also bring some return special teams to the game too, because he's going to be able to do that in the NFL. I really like him.
I'm with you there. I think Mingo can do that better than Tillman or Perry. I think their X is outside pretty much only. I think Tyler Scott has an option there, and I think Rashee Rice could do it somewhat. It's not quite the strongest play like Juju is, but I think in terms of route running, I think both those guys could probably pull it off. Yeah. Thank you, Des. James, Chiefs have a chance to get Jalen Carter in the 1st round, and if so, what's the highest you can move up for him? I could go to 15 now with the Jets. I think he has the potential to be a generational talent. I don't use that word lightly. He could also turn out to be absolutely nothing. It's risk. It's
crazy.
risk versus reward.
I don't think he's going to get out myself. I think there's a 0% chance the Chiefs have to get him.
Okay. So you think he's a top 10, top 5?
I don't think that he will get past the Lions at 6.
Okay. Gotcha. Fair enough. We win the Super Bowl every 3 years, but we have to draft a running back in the first round of defending champs. Good deal?
I'm in. You sold me.
It's about the Lombardis. I'll deal with it.
You sold me.
I will sit in the corner and drink, okay? Oscar, gut feeling. Who do you believe the Chiefs will draft in the first round, either trading up for or staying put? What do you got? Gut feeling.
My gut feeling is they're going to trade up and draft Jordan Addison.
Okay.
Which is not something I have publicly said. I've done it in one of our mock drafts, but it is something that I believe they're going to do. And they've had, they've worked out Zay Flowers and they've worked out Quentin Johnston. I think their target is at Jordan Addison if they can get to him.
He's the best route runner in this class, in my opinion. He was my number 1 until last month when JSN actually ran the same speed as him. 4.49 versus 4.50. I thought that was going to be a bigger differential. And I do think that JSN is more sudden. And I do think in the league, that's going to help him make an impact quicker. But I totally feel you. I think they snuck it in on the last day and had Broderick in. And I think they're listening. And I think they're going to do it.
I mean, I'm all in. I'm all in on Broderick Jones. You know me. He's my OT1. That's who he is. Yeah. And also, I know that a lot of people in here, I'm not a fan of Addison in the first either. I like Jordan Addison. Again, I don't hate these players. I like Jordan Addison. If they could get him in the second and trade up and get him in the second, I'd be all for it because I think that that's where he should go.
Do you think another running back could sneak into the first? The only one that does it for me is Spears. Do you think a King can make it? Outside
of Bijan?
Bijan and Gibbs.
Oh, okay. I was just those two. No, I don't think anybody else can. Not even.
Gotcha.
Nobody else.
The only guy that I think somebody could fall in love with is Spears because he was just such a late comer to the party. Like maybe somebody fell and we just don't know. So yeah. Gary, do the Chiefs draft Zach Harrison edge in the 4th or 5th? If he's there, he's also a Spags guy for sure.
Yeah, if he's in the 4th, that's the one guy that I was like, there could be somebody here that they're like, hey, we kind of like that.
Yeah, for certain. Actually, I have him ranked in the 3rd. And I'm not particularly a big fan, but he does get things done. He's just a ball of clay. You got to teach him a lot. So
you do. He's in the mid-3rd for me too.
Yeah, okay. Appreciate it, Gary. Jeremy, on your board, you had Addison above Flowers. Absolutely. Yet Kaiser loved Flower over Addison. Your thoughts behind your ranking. I think, again, that the size pays a difference, and I don't think Zay is going to be able to compete with the way that he plays as easily as Addison is. Addison plays in two pro offenses, knows how to run routes and knows how to stack. Zay runs around. I don't think he necessarily knows where he's going other than he's running a route. I don't think he adjusts necessarily to sight. I don't know that he can be as successful out the bat. Maybe he ends up being as good or better. I think initially first contract, I think Addison's probably the better receiver. Am I wrong, Dan?
No, that's how I feel too. I have Jordan Addison above Flowers as well, but they're right there. Like I have Addison, Flowers, and Downs. That's how I have it in the second. That's how I have them ranked. 1, 2, 3. And they're very close in grades for me too. So what Flowers does well are double moves. He is an excellent double move player. He sees blind spots. He knows how to attack defensive leverage one-on-one. He can't really attack defensive leverage in zone. That's what you're going to see the most of in the NFL. But one thing that I know about Jordan Addison is that he can find the zone. He can sit down in it. He can run routes, and he can manipulate multiple corners at the same time. That's one thing that I don't think that Flowers can do yet. I also think Downs can do that myself. But again, he's slight just like Flowers is. And I think Flowers is more of a slot player than everybody wants to believe. I think Addison has a better chance of playing on the outside than Flowers does, even though I think all three of them don't have a very good shot.
Agree with you. And I'll tell you this, it came down to this, like in terms of evaluation of production. It was 9 drops for Flowers versus 2 for Addison this year. So in terms of progression, he's still getting better despite going to a new offense. And quite frankly, one who didn't use him correctly. He's a downfield threat. He's an all over intermediate and deep routes, and they send him short all the time. That's the USC offense. I blame that for it. So I think we're a little underinflated on Jordan Addison overall. He is first in TDs to drop ratio. He is first in yards per game. He is fourth in drop rate overall in this class. And that means something.
Yep.
Dan, is your draft board up someplace? It will be, right?
It will be, yeah. It's all good to go.
Rock and roll. So we'll have it at NFL 33. It'll be another free post. You'll be able to find it there. And are you going to post it anywhere else too?
I don't think so. I think we're just going to put it up on 33. And,
cool.
You guys want it, you can have it.
Yeah. You guys are pretty much already, I'm guessing everybody's already subbed, but if you would go over there and you can get it for free, you don't have to sub, but if you would like, it would be great. We're trying to grow that side of it too. And that's these are some of the things that we're giving away to help that out. Is Jonathan Mingo worth 31? Not for me.
It's not for me either, but it's hard to not see the upside with him, because if you, again, this is another thing about if you told me Jahmyr Gibbs turned into Jamal Charles, I'd take him at 31. If you told me that he reached his ceiling, I would take him at 31 all day, every day, but I don't know that he will. So no, I can't do it.
I have him 15 slots outside of the second. So I'm comfortable with that. That's a long way to go to 31. So I do like the player, and it is upside. Tillman in the second, I am totally down for, Jackson.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Love
okay,
it.
so we both agree there. Austin, Ryan, do you do anything if you've seen Kennard is competing with Niang at right tackle? I didn't actually see that. Is that what he said?
I didn't see
he
that.
was taking reps at both guard and tackle. So, hey, tackle is his natural position. Right tackle is Kennard's natural position. I don't think he can win that competition. I'll just tell you that. I do think he is a guard, and I think he has a chance to be good. I saw that he dropped some good weight, and I think that's going to help him with his foot quickness, which is just lowest attribute. Thanks, Austin. All chiefed up. Hope you guys are doing good. You know what? We're trying, guys. We're trying. Y'all are working hard too, so we appreciate you. Lego, thoughts on Tommy Thompson, RFA? Think anyone will steal him? No. I don't think it's worth it. It's like what? It's a pick and
I think didn't he get like a day two, or is it?
Yeah,
it's like a day two
second
RFA?
round tender.
Yeah, no one's gonna second round this guy.
Punters are punters. Lucas Clemens, if you had to select either Curtis, is that Curtis Warren?
It's the tackle out of Pittsburgh. I don't remember his first name. I know it's Warren.
Okay. It's Carter Warren. Yes, Carter Warren. Thank you. Carter. Sorry, Lucas, I'm spacing. There's too many dudes. Bergeron or Steen, who would you choose? Bergeron's the best three for me.
He is. It's very close for me with Steen, though. I'm a big fan of Tyler Steen after getting to him actually earlier this week. But I'm a big fan of his handwork, but it's still Matthew Bergeron. I think he's a much more powerful guy that you could still use his athleticism.
I'm with you. I do like that too. I have Steen low in the third. I have Bergeron mid second, and I have Carter in the fifth. He does have significant injury history that we have to be aware of. And he doesn't quite play with the power that I'd hope he would for his size. I think that's related to the injury, so I'm not sure on that. Steen is a power guy, though. So, like, for the Chiefs, it isn't quite a fit, in my opinion.
I didn't see a ton of issues with his athletic ability on tape. I saw smooth. He was also doing vertical sets at Alabama. He was doing a lot of things that they value. And again, the hand placement and handwork was nice that I saw from him. So I don't know. I'm a bit higher on the tools than maybe the finished product coming into the NFL. And that's what I do sometimes. Huh?
Sometimes you have to. That's the way that it goes. Great question, Lucas, and we appreciate you asking it. Bradley, where will you be on draft night, Ryan? Got to get you some of the great beers brewed in KC. Bradley, I appreciate that. I'm going to try to find a place to be on Wednesday night, because Thursday night I will be in studio. We'll be streaming. Won't have any opportunity for that. Yeah. But Wednesday night, I'm going to try to find a place. I've been meaning to get around a couple of the breweries in town. I don't want to make it a big deal. I'm just going to figure out. My brother and I will figure a spot. We'll let you all know, and we'll try to make it, as centrally located as we can. We're not going to BKS, which is probably my favorite brewery outside of Boulevard, because BKS is still small. We can't all get in there, even if half of us showed up. So, but I will definitely let you know, and I would love to have a beer with everybody. I just can't have 7. That's going to be the problem. Arkansas wide receivers, Landers and Hazelwood. Landers is quite a bit higher on my board. I don't even know if I have Hazelwood on my board.
I don't
What
think
about
you
bro?
have Hazelwood on your board.
Should I?
I don't know. I think he's probably going to be a late at day 3 guy. I saw some things on tape from him, but not enough for me to put him on my board, to be honest with you. And where do I have? I have Landers as a 5th round pick. Like,
Okay.
I think he's going to be a very niche guy, but he is essentially MVS. Like, that's the role I think he has in the NFL. He's going to be a big downfield threat that specifically will need some tools and growth to be able to even get to the point where he can be effective. So again, you got to have some growth there, but I think his ceiling is MVS.
I absolutely agree. He's number 3 in deep range matrix, so he can stretch the field. He has a couple issues with drops. He's not the most productive guy. Very reminiscent of MVS. That you nailed it on that one, Dan. Love Chris's mock draft on LOC yesterday. So far, it's been my favorite. Yeah, he did a great job, and he got uber aggressive with the trades, man. Like, I couldn't even keep up. The cool thing there on that channel, we've been doing that show for like 7 years, so usually I can guess what he's doing. But he ducked and dodged me. I had no idea that was coming. Is there a mock either of you have done that stands out as your favorite so far? Mine is easy. There's one where they screwed around and let Broderick Jones fall to me at 23, and I nabbed him in a heartbeat. And I ran away like a giddy schoolgirl.
I don't know, man. I like getting up to get Jordan Addison because, again, I do think he's a good fit for the offense. But I haven't done one that I've been like, this is I love all of this. And that's mostly because I haven't been able to get the player that I think that they need to get in the first round, mostly because I don't know how to value trades. So if I'm trying to do this on myself, I got no idea what I'm doing, and I'm not just going to force something to make it happen. So I typically just stay at 31, and I can't get the value that I want there. So that's just me.
I'm reluctant, man. I'm just reluctant to give up top 100 picks, and in the first round, you got to. So
everyone's like, you got to go. I'm like, I want those. I want the 94. I want 95. Like, I want that. I want to move.
I said the same thing, but I had to give up 95 to get to 23 with the Vikings, and it was better than giving up 63. And
they very well could be talked into moving back because I don't think that they have any of the first round grades that they want. And if anything from last year will continue to follow through, they traded down with the Lions and we're just like, yeah, we don't care. That could be a spot to hit for sure.
Folks, we're speeding up. I am trying to go faster so we can get everybody's super chats and questions in. We are going to get to it before I let Dan go. We're already over time.
Absolutely.
So we're going. If you had to pick for this offense, and I love the way you put this, Alex, for this offense, Reed Mahomes 2023, Dwayne Bowe or Otis Taylor?
I don't think this is that close, to be honest with you, Alex. But I appreciate your candor in asking the question. It's Otis Taylor all day for me. All day.
Agreed. It is not that close. Sorry, Debo. Love you, man. But in this offense, you're a tight end, bro.
Yep, exactly. That's what it is.
Not a draft question, but does Kadarius Toney flexing on Instagram put you guys in a worry about maturity? And personally, I don't see young guys staying focused. Right now, I'm not worried about it. This is supposed to be fun, team building, get to know your dudes and your quarterback. But yeah, I mean, that's been the rub on him since Florida, is that he's immature. So far, as long as he doesn't do anything stupid, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to. I mean, Mahomes was flexing.
Yeah,
like pretty much as soon as he was named the quarterback, like that's his signature thing. Is like it's his flex. So I don't. It doesn't bother me. Again, this comes down to, can you keep it fun? What you're doing. Once you extend that fun to being off the field immature to illegality stuff, that's where we have different issues. If you can't stay locked in during the season because you're too busy messing around, okay, that's different. But so far so good, I think.
Around here we say locked on, Dan. Locked on.
You're right. I'm not. So I haven't been on the show enough to actually to look at the end there, but I'll work on it.
We're gonna fix that. Thank you, Nick. Appreciate you. Jackson, what do you got here? Do you think the Chiefs like Cedric Tillman? I want him in Kansas City, but I'm worried about the Chiefs will go in an opposite direction. I don't think they'll go opposite. I do think they may be concerned about the injury history, and generally they like faster guys. He's explosive, but they also like speed, and so I think it might be a departure. But I also feel that there's good speed later in the draft, And I do think they can go back and get a speed element in particular. Yeah. So I think it's a possibility. I'm not going to rule it out. But thank you both. We appreciate you very much. Hi, Miss Avery. Yeah, she's like, I'm still not talking to you, Trace.
She's just giving me a hug. Oh, thank you for that.
And that. Love you, Dad. Love you. Florida State has a receiver. I can't remember. He's approximately 1,000 yards and 79 receptions, 12 TDs. Do you guys know him? He's not in this class, right? I don't know.
I don't have a clue. Be very honest. I have not seen a Florida State receiver.
No. The only Florida guy I have on my list is Justin Shorter from Florida itself.
Yeah.
So no, we'll have to check that out, Steve. I appreciate that. I'm guessing maybe he's a next class guy, which I have about 30 prospects stacked so far. We're gonna get to it. I promise you. It's gonna come faster than you want. What's the over under on the Chiefs trading up in the first round? I think the over. Just put it at 50%, and I'll take the over.
Let's see here. We've got. I'm going to set it at 60%.
Okay. I'll still take the over.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's going to be pretty up there. Okay. I think the guy we have that you're looking at is Johnny Wilson.
Okay.
And he is 6'7", 235 pounds. Wow. Something tells me he might not be a wide receiver in the NFL if those measurements come in as accurate.
Right. Talk to me, Goose. Am I a tight end? Yes, you are. But we'll definitely check him out too. Thank you for that. You don't like the NFL, huh? But we're asking NFL questions. All right, roll on, brother. Is there a world where we can get Addison at 31? It seems very far-fetched, but I've heard not only what's in the media, but I've heard from two people in particular that I do trust. The league isn't as high on the wide receivers as a group as we are. And I do have him as the closest to 31. Where do I have him? 25? Where'd I go? Here he is. So basically every box on here is 3 picks in the first round. Yeah. So I have him somewhere around 26. It's certainly possible. I just don't know. It takes one team to screw that up. And I got to think one probably will.
And that's the thing. Like if you feel all these receivers are close, then why don't at the end of the first round, why won't you take a stab at them? So again, if evaluation wise, yes, I think there is a world where he's not taken before the Chiefs at 31. But do I know that I trust every NFL GM to tell the truth? No, I don't.
Hell, they're all liars.
Yeah, right.
It's a job requirement, man. Most of them lie to me every time I send them something. Sure, we're interested. Oh, wait, no, we're not. Let's see. Julian said, I like wide receiver in the first and CB in the second, and day 3 is where I think we hit big. Man, I'm sorry, Julian. I got to disagree with you because I think there's value at both those positions on day 2 in particular. It would have to go very, very wrong for all my favorite prospects to go that I think are fits in order for me to do that.
Yeah, I agree. Day 2 is, I think, the sweet spot for both of those. Granted, there's going to be at least, I think, 4 corners drafted on day 1 because I do think it's that good of a class. Maybe it's not Sauce Gardner, but I think all of them are really, really good players, even though I only have 2 first-round draft picks for corner. But yeah, it's the value on day 2 is really, really good at corner and wide receiver.
And if you meant day 3 is where you hit the bigs, meaning the linemen, that I do agree with. I think we can get the Chiefs a couple of guys that are swing offensive tackle, rotational defensive tackles, et cetera, on day 3 and be pretty happy for it.
Yeah.
Cheers, Julian. What are you laughing at, Dan? Did I say something?
No, nothing.
Yeah, okay. Is there any hope that Brents might fall to the Chiefs? Sure.
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely.
Where do you want him?
Yeah, that's the big question. I have him. Where is it? I have him in the high 20s in the 3rd round.
Yeah, he's on the second sorry. I have a 2nd round grade on Brents, and he's the very end of the 2nd round. Like that's where I have him.
I'm about 22 picks behind you.
Yeah, well, I've
got him. Yeah, mid. Certainly could happen. He's right in there between Darius Rush, The little dudes in Cameron Mitchell and Clark Phillips, and then Caillou Blue Kelly, I actually have below Brent. So I think that makes some sense. But there's certainly an option there, Joseph. Des, what do you guys think about Brian Bresee? Ooh, that's a great question.
Yeah.
Whew.
Give me 1 second here to pull up his thing, because I know that there's a lot of varying opinions on Brian Bresee, because it's I'll tell you what, I was not a huge fan of his tape in terms of on-field performance. I didn't think it was great. I think the tools are fantastic. The flashes are fantastic. I thought overall he's a 3 tech. That you're going to ask him to be a penetrator, or he can convert speed to power. His pad level was terrible. He didn't know how to use his hands. He doesn't defend the run very well. He doesn't anchor. And if you get an angle on him, if you touch his hip, it's gone. He's done. He's out of the picture, out of the frame completely. That bothers me. And I know that it's not easy to absorb power at your hip. I know it's not. I see NFL defensive tackles do it every day. So in order to be that, you have to learn how to do it. Now, I don't know how to do that. I don't know. It's not my wheelhouse. It's not my job to train this guy how to do that. But I think that he has a ton of upside, but he's a mystery box.
His 21 tape was much better. I have to say that. And I'm pretty much throwing 22 out. I have him as a second round grade.
I do too.
Based on that. But you're absolutely right. Could this year have totally hosed his progression? It certainly could have. But Des, if he's taken early on day 3, I can live with it.
Yeah.
Appreciate you. Julian, would you guys be mad or surprised if they draft Zay Flowers in the first round in a trade up? I would be frustrated. That's not good value to trade up for Zay Flowers, in my opinion. If they took him at 31, I can live with it because they clearly feel that they can integrate him into the offense in what is already a stacked receiver group on the inside.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
Would you be mad?
I don't think I'd be mad. I'd be a little more indifferent. I'd be like, okay, I get it.
I'm just disappointed.
That's exactly. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Dad's coming out. John, thank you, buddy. Appreciate you. Are you familiar with Grant DuBose? And if so, thoughts? I took a quick peek at him. I didn't go in depth. What do you think?
Unfortunately, I don't have any Grant DuBose tape.
Yeah, I had to go watch broadcast. That was my issue.
Yeah, Charlotte football is not exactly on the list of film that we get, but I can pull up his numbers here and give you a little estimation because like Ryan, I've seen some of his just like broadcast every now and then, but I try not to use that in my evaluation because you don't really get a good look at anything. He ran a 4.57 40. That's unfortunate for a 6'2" receiver. The 10-yard split is, it's 1.5. It's not great. Decent vertical, 35 inches, 35. Yeah, 35 inches. Jeez, I confuse those. But you have a good 3 cone under 7. It's 6'7" or 6'8", 9. So it looks like he's probably going to be closer to if I had to guess in the NFL, it'd probably be closer to an A.T. Perry type player. A little bit bigger, leaner, 200 pounds. He doesn't have the longest arms in the world, doesn't have the biggest hands. So you're probably going to rely more on creating natural separation with your short area quickness than your long speed because he doesn't have it. So in the NFL, as a 6'2" receiver who doesn't have long speed, you have to be able to work the short intermediates and get open there.
Yeah.
Based off of that, that's all I got.
Thing that stood out to me, deep range is not there. Change of direction isn't there. He does make contested catches and force missed tackles. He's number 6 in the Air Force metric. And that play on the field can be translated. So
yeah,
I wish I had seen more, but he's doable. I think he's a UDFA for me. We'll see what the league thinks. Thanks, John. Appreciate your support as well. Johnny, appreciate you. What would you tell a team that calls about Snead? What pick would that take? Snead's a second rounder, in my opinion, all day long. Like, I'm not going close to anything but a 2.
No, 2 or higher. That's it. The conversation starts at a 2. Like we're talking 40, pick 40-ish, something right there. And we're probably working our way up because I think there's belief in the organization. He's going to be an all-pro corner this year. And, so there's that level of we think he's going to be a first-round type of trade asset player. We expect that in return.
Yeah, absolutely. PK, thank you for the support. Appreciate you. What is your dream round 1 pick? Well, I mean, if the stars align and Will Anderson gets caught smoking weed tomorrow, he could be a Chief at 31.
I mean, I'll go a little more realistic dream. I think it's for both of us. It's Broderick Jones. I think that's the realistic dream. My dog also agrees with you.
Yes, and that's confirmation that we need. I'm telling you. Ryan and Dan, what am I missing about these top wide receivers? I don't see a 1-rounder in any of them. High 2, but maybe not a first. You're not missing a lot. You got to squint to see it, really. It's for Jordan Addison, it's more about 21 than it is about 22. And I think that's where a lot of analysts right now are kind of falling behind. And for JSN, it's the same thing. He didn't hardly play.
Yeah.
So I think that's the problem. But I do think they both bring aspects that are fringe first. That's why I have them pretty low. You?
It's just and the only reason Jackson Smith-Njigba is a first-round pick for me is because I believe that he's one of the best defensive readers in the last few years. I think that he sees, and the way that he crafts himself getting open is some of the best that has come out. That's the only reason he's a first-round pick for me, because he's not going to do a huge in the yak department. He's not going to blow past everybody, because I promise you that 40 time is not real. And what he's going to do is the short area and route running. That's what he's going to do. That's how he's going to make a name for himself. I think he's going to get drafted by a team like the Seahawks or the Packers, and he's just going to be a damn nightmare for defenses in the slot for the next 10, 12 years. That's why I think he's a first-round pick.
I'm down. What are your pockets? Stevie asked, and Stevie, thank you. And you guys make sure you're following Stevie on their channel as well. Stevie always has the greatest questions, because he probably knows the answer before I spit them out. Honestly, it's all of day 2 for wide receiver for me. That is like one giant pocket, because I think that's where the talent lands. Despite, I think, being peppered at offensive tackle through the first 2 days, top to mid of round 4, I think is prime spot for a tackle that can grow into a starter level guy. So I like that. That's McClendon, Morris, and Duncan with Saldivari in there for me. So that's like 4 targets in that cluster. What else? I have the most corners in round. Oh, wow, that's funny. So I have 5 corners in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. They're all even.
I have 50 second-round picks. I have 50. Okay. Damn, my pocket is essentially the 2nd round. Like, I have a ton of players in there. Obviously, you don't have 50 players that are going in round 2, but I think that's how stacked this day 2 is. Like, there's 83. I have 93 players on day as day 2 grades. That's how stacked this talent group is. Like, there's not much above. There's a lot of lower guys in there, but I think that there's a huge valuation, and that's going to drop guys into day 3. And that's where I think we talked a little bit about earlier. Brett Veach is going to be doing the same thing. I would imagine they have a ton of day 2 grades too, but he's going to be monitoring that. And then when the round 4 comes around, have him trade up.
Pluck. Yep, I'm with you. Stevie, thank you again. Dan, your advice and resources for fans of the channel who want to follow in your footsteps and be a film analyst.
That's a great question.
Get used to not sleeping.
That's one thing, but it comes down to not being afraid of asking for help. When I first started doing this, you could have asked me and I would have told you so many different things, because I guarantee you I thought I knew everything. It didn't come until like right before I started working here, where I was like, yo, I don't know a damn thing. I don't know anything. And as you grow, as you start to learn more, like the first thing that I did was I got the All-22. I didn't even know it existed until I found Twitter, which was in like 2017, if I'm not mistaken. So like, I didn't even know about Twitter. I didn't know about film, any of that stuff, until I started actually physically doing it. And it comes down to watching it, saying, I don't know shit, basically, and reaching out and hoping people will help you. Like, that's what it is. I had Ryan help me. Seth helped me with my writing. Gary helped me with my writing. Gary McKenzie was he's a teacher, so he knows what he's talking about with this kind of stuff. So he was fantastic in helping me learn how to write. And that's where I got in. Learn how to write, learn what you're watching, and you have to be unafraid to ask for help. You're not going to know everything. Don't act like you do. I'm living proof that you don't. And there's nothing you can do that you can say that will help you out in that department. It's all about growing, reading, books. Find some people that you trust that will answer your questions. That's hard to do sometimes, but that's what it is.
It certainly is. And you got to be willing to work. And that's one thing that you have in spades. That's why you're where you are now, because you have been working this entire time. Yeah. Man, because I can't teach you everything. I don't know. and that's funny, because I think what we've seen happen, it certainly happened for me, and now it's happened for you, is you start to realize I have an opinion on this. I don't have the only opinion on this.
That's right.
There are ways to see things differently, coaching scheme, et cetera, et cetera. Like, there's a lot of variability in there that people like to act like doesn't exist. Cody, thank you, sir. Joel Klatt's final projected was Zay Flowers to the Chiefs at 31. It's truly possible the Chiefs stay at 31. Also, love the most recent Locked On Transfer. Okay, good for Chris. If you guys would leave those comments on the Chiefs channel, right? He needs to hear it. Yeah, because he's like, he throws his mock out and he ducks. So that's great to hear. I do think Zay Flowers is a possibility at 31. I have him lower for a reason. And I do think if guys go and they can't make a deal, I do think they might have to stay at 1. Not by choice, but by purpose.
Yeah, it's possible. Again, it's all about their board. Who do they have in the first round? If there's a first-round player there, okay, they might trade up. If not, they might just stay at 31.
Yeah. Jose, what do you got here? What are your thoughts on the Chiefs don't take an O-line in the first? And if they don't, what's their first-round pick? Where do you think they go, like the way it falls, Dan?
All right, so if they don't go offensive line, I think it's going to have to be – I think defensive end will still be valued a little bit higher. I'll have it the same way, though. I'll value them a little bit higher than wide receiver. But I think it goes, if it's not tackle, defensive end, wide receiver, corner. That's how I think that shakes out.
Rock and roll. Okay. I could see that too.
Again, because I like this corner class. I think that they do too.
The man corners are there. That's for sure. Like, I enjoy watching them as well. Thanks, Jose. Julian, thank you. Thoughts on Keaton Mitchell and Xavier Smith being drafted by the Chiefs? I'll take either of them, but I'm high on Mitchell because he's Matrix 1. He brings the home run power, poof, he's gone. He's like Kaiser Sose. In fact, if he gets drafted, I will call him Kaiser Sose.
There you go. Yeah, I like Mitchell. I know there's been Smith's actually met with the Chiefs already, if I'm not mistaken about that. But again, I think that this is I would lean more towards Mitchell because he's stocky for a shorter guy. He has that home run ability too, which I think that they still desperately want and need outside of Pacheco. I think he's got some frame to be a pass protection guy too. I think he's a bit smaller, but unless Pacheco gets much better at technique wise, he's probably not going to be asked to do that a lot.
Fair enough. I think they could both happen though, Julian. Appreciate you bringing them up.
I'm with you.
Teddy, why does Andy only like small receivers? I won't say it's only, but he likes speed and separation, and you got a quarterback from throwing 80 yards. You better get down there.
I think people forget that Kadarius Toney is 6 foot. He is 6 foot. He's not small. He's not small, but I know he looks slight on film on the field, but he is 6 foot. So they have those, him and MVS are over 6 feet tall.
Yeah, he got a couple anyway. Thanks, Teddy. Chris, Dan should take 5 shots at tequila for every pick he gets correct. He's going to be hammered really fast.
I will not be hammered. I won't get any picks right. So.
Think optimistically. I think that's what we'll do is we'll just start predicting picks, and we'll see what comes of it.
It's funny because I think we did that. I think I may have done that last year, and I did get a couple of them right. So I don't want to play that
game. Last one for tonight. Please like, sub, and hit the bell if you're new to us in particular. Join the memberships. I think you guys will dig them. Get the gear, do the stuff. Definitely get the draft guide. It's at rogueapc.com. I'll put it on the screen again if I can find the right link because it's the Athletic Matrix and the draft guide, same place, rogueapc.com. Use the code RGR23. It will help you through this draft. Might be a little bit more useful on day 2 and 3, but it's like we give the guys a lot of attention that are day one picks.
So, a little bit.
that is definitely going to happen. But I do want to say, check that out. We appreciate all of your support, and there's a ton to go around. This is the culmination here this week of 9 months work. So we appreciate your support, and we're having a good time with it. Ryan, recent content, you mentioned trading for D-Hop and Buddha. What would be the capital to get players like that? What would it look like? D-Hop, I think he's definitely worth a third. I think they're going to demand a first and not get it. I think it'll have to go for a second.
I think they're going to demand a second, and he will take a third to get.
Yeah, okay. I hope. I would love that. Buddha's a little bit lower. Buddha's been injured. He's an elite player, though. And I think in this defense, he could be the next Tyrann Mathieu and turn it around. Like, nothing against Reed and Cook, but Buddha's just a different beast, man. So
he might cost you a first-round pick. He might cost. I also think he's an excellent player, and I think the Cardinals know that he's an excellent player, and I think the NFL does too, and they'll value him as such. So I think it's going to be a first to get him.
Yeah, and Cody, I don't mean to mislead you. I don't think that they can trade for both.
Yeah,
I will just say I know that Buddha wants out, and he's been in the league long enough. I think he deserves to go to a winner. So, hey, let's give him a shot. All right, that's going to wrap it for us tonight, folks. We very much appreciate you. Thank you for your time. We will have the special session with KCSN coming up. We will have content for you tomorrow. The board is out. You can get that for free, NFL33.com. We'll take you right to it. There's a big picture of Will Anderson on there. I wonder why. You can get that for free, and Dan's will be up there shortly as well, so make sure you get subbed because you'll get an email when that happens. Makes life super easy. So thank you, Dan, for taking the time. I know you got to get back to family because it's been a while.
It's been a while, yeah, but we're having a great time. It's nice to be back under the same roof again. But again, appreciate y'all being here. It's great to have 400 plus of you in here on the Monday before the draft, and it's almost here. It's almost here.
It is. Oh, it's coming. We'll see you live for the draft itself here on the channel. You can put us on the side or shut off the broadcast if you want. We'll carry you through. Don't worry about it. Hope you guys have a good week, and we'll see you tomorrow for more content, as well as KCSN, I think, will be Wednesday. Dan and Matt Bowen will be this week. Got all kinds of stuff for you. I might even sneak you a little bit more Matt Waldman because it's always fun. All right. Have a good week. We'll see you guys later.